All right, so you ready to dive into some serious spring travel planning? Looks like our listener is looking for the best countries to visit this spring. We've got this travel article that's jam-packed with ideas, and, you know, we got to do this right. This is not going to be just your average, top 10 list. We're going to make sure this is special.
Yeah, this is all about spring-specific experiences. Think festivals, natural wonders, the perks of traveling during the shoulder season.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about things like Sri Lanka for whale watching.
Scotland for Whiskey Month, that's right.
We're going there.
So we're going to dig into what makes spring so special in each of these destinations. You'll come away knowing not just where to go, but why spring is the time to go.
Exactly. All right, so let's kick things off. We'll start in Sri Lanka. I know you're a big wildlife fan.
Yeah.
And spring in Sri Lanka means it's prime time for whale watching.
Oh, it's amazing. Imagine this. You're off the coast of Marissa. You're on a boat, and suddenly, boom, a blue whale breaches.
Wow.
Just meters from your boat.
That's incredible.
It's a breathtaking sight. And it's not just blue whales. You can see pilot whales, dolphins, all kinds of amazing marine life.
Oh, wow. Okay, but the beauty of Sri Lanka doesn't stop at the coast. I mean, this is also the time of year when Uddhawala and Yella National Parks are just teeming with animals.
Yeah.
Especially around the waterhole.
Yeah, the drier weather means the animals, they all got to come together to drink, and that gives you an amazing chance to see elephants.
Yeah.
Crocodiles, jackals, you name it.
The article actually recommends staying in Tisamaharama, right?
Yeah.
For easy access to Yella.
That's right.
They also mentioned something about booking safaris early because they tend to fill up fast.
Yeah, definitely smart advice. And hey, after a long day exploring the wilds of Sri Lanka, you deserve a good meal, right?
Absolutely.
So hit up the lobster pot in Marissa for some seriously fresh seafood.
All right. So from the exotic wildlife of Sri Lanka, let's switch gears to a place that explodes with color in the spring.
Oh.
The Netherlands.
Yeah, this is where spring really comes alive visually. The Netherlands in the spring equals tulip season.
Tulip season.
Picture those vast fields in the Ballenstreek region just bursting with millions of tulips. It's a kaleidoscope of color.
Oh, it's like stepping into a painter's palette. Remember what, you can't go to the Netherlands without exploring Amsterdam.
Absolutely. Amsterdam is a must-see year-round with iconic spots like the Anne Frank House,
Yeah.
the Rijksmuseum. But spring just adds this special charm to the city's canals and those cobbled streets.
Yeah, for sure. I've always heard that the Van Gogh Museum can get pretty crowded. Any tips on how to avoid the hordes?
Well, the article suggests hitting up the Van Gogh Museum later in the day, like after 4 p.m. on a weekday. You'll have a much more peaceful experience.
Okay.
And afterward, treat yourself. Go for a slice of classic Dutch apple pie at Winkel 43. It's a local favorite.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
What about the windmills? Can't go to the Netherlands and miss those.
Oh, you absolutely can't miss the iconic windmills. The Zandvoortse, that's the place to go.
Zandvoortse.
And in spring, the surrounding countryside is just, picture perfect. It's idyllic.
So we've got whales, tulips, but now let's head to a country known for its vibrant culture and celebrations, Thailand. And if you're looking for a unique experience, spring in Thailand means one thing: Songkran.
Ah, Songkran, the Thai New Year. And it's celebrated with a nationwide water fight. It's incredible. Imagine this.
Yeah.
You've got these temples like Wat Arun just buzzing with traditional ceremonies, and then the streets erupt into this giant water party.
It's like organized chaos.
Yeah, in the best way possible. Picture yourself dodging water balloons and getting soaked.
Sounds like a lot of fun. So this is all happening in April.
Yes. Mark your calendars, April 13th, 15th. And a word to the wise, be ready for crowds, especially in Bangkok.
Yeah, but
And whatever you do, pack waterproof gear.
good tip, good tip. Now, while we're talking about Thailand, I know responsible travel is important to you.
Oh.
And the article mentioned a sanctuary that really stood out.
Oh, yeah. They highlighted the Elephant Jungle Sanctuary in Chiang Mai. It's all about educating people about elephants, and making sure the elephants are well cared for.
Right.
They even have this program in Phuket called Feed Me,
Oh, wow.
where you can learn all about elephant behavior while you help feed them.
That's awesome. I love that they prioritize education and ethical interactions with the elephants. And hey, for a little change of pace, the article also recommended something pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. For some incredible city views, head up to the Sky Bar in Bangkok.
Sagar.
Fair warning, the cocktails are a bit pricey.
Okay.
But that view, that sunset, totally worth it.
All right. So we've got whales, tulips, water fights. What a mix. But our spring adventures are just getting started, so let's move on to a country known for its vibrant culture and ancient history.
Yeah.
Mexico.
Spring in Mexico is perfect for a couple of big reasons. First off, whale watching season is still in full swing, especially off the coast of Baja California and Cabo San Lucas.
So 2 for 2 on amazing whale watching opportunities. Did the article mention any specific tour operators, for those who want to get up close and personal with those whales?
They did. There's a link in the article to a 2-hour whale watching tour off the coast of Cabo. Super highly rated.
Awesome. We'll make sure to flag that for our listener later. Okay, besides the whales, what else makes spring special in Mexico?
Well, spring in Mexico also coincides with Semana Santa,
Semana Santa.
or Holy Week,
Yeah.
from April 13th to the 19th. It's a deeply cultural experience with processions, reenactments of the crucifixion, and these traditional parades all over the country.
Wow, I can imagine how powerful it must be to witness those events, especially somewhere like Mexico City's Zocalo.
Yeah, definitely. And to round out your Mexican adventure, the article suggests visiting the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza and taking a dip in the crystal clear waters of the cenote Ixquil.
That sounds like the perfect mix of history, culture, and natural beauty.
Speaking of vibrant cultural experiences, our next stop takes us to a place where spring brings spirituality and natural beauty together: India.
India in the spring offers 2 amazing things. First, it's when those vibrant lotus flowers are in bloom, adding a touch of magic to the landscape. And second, it's a fantastic time for wildlife viewing, especially if you're hoping to spot tigers.
Right. Around March, April, May, tigers gather around waterholes, making them easier to spot on safaris. The author of the article had an incredible experience at Ranthambore National Park, seeing tigers, jackals, deer. And they even mentioned that spring is part of the off-season in India, so fewer crowds and more affordable travel.
Fewer crowds at the Taj Mahal. Yes, please. Okay, but traveling in India does require some planning, right? What practical tips did the article offer?
Well, they emphasized pre-booking train tickets, especially for long journeys, and they were pretty clear about being cautious with street food in crowded areas. They recommended sticking to local restaurants with good hygiene ratings.
That's solid advice. All right, from the bustling streets of India, let's hop over to another country with diverse landscapes and incredible spring blooms, the United States.
Spring in the U.S. is all about those wildflowers. Think about fields of Texas bluebonnets at their peak in mid-April, or the Cherry Blossom Festival in D.C. from late March to mid-April. It's like the whole country becomes a giant canvas of color.
It's amazing how nature just paints these landscapes. And of course, spring means fewer crowds at popular places like Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore.
Speaking of those spots, the article said to book Yellowstone lodging well in advance, especially if you want to stay inside the park.
Okay.
And for Mount Rushmore, they suggested going in the evening. You'll have fewer crowds and you get to see the lighting ceremony.
That's a great tip. So we've covered a lot of ground, from whales to wildflowers. It's clear that spring offers some truly unique travel experiences. But before we dive into our next group of destinations, let's take a quick break.
All right, sounds good.
We'll be back in a flash with even more spring travel inspiration. Welcome back to our spring travel marathon. We've already uncovered some amazing destinations, but we're just getting warmed up.
That's right. We've got a whole bunch more incredible places to explore. And for those who are looking for something maybe a little more relaxed, a little more romantic, this next group of countries is definitely calling your name.
All right, let's start by transporting ourselves to a country that practically invented romance: Italy.
Italy in the springtime. Can you picture it? Walking hand in hand through those cobblestone streets of Rome, the scent of wisteria in the air and all those iconic sights bathed in that spring sunshine.
And the best part, you get to experience all of this without the summer crowds and the scorching heat.
Exactly. The article really highlighted those two things. Affordability and fewer crowds. Those are some major advantages of traveling to Italy in the spring. You can really savor the beauty of places like the Spanish Steps, the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain without feeling rushed or overwhelmed.
Speaking of avoiding crowds, any tips on how to make the most of those iconic Roman landmarks?
Well, they recommended the Roma Pass. It gives you access to the Colosseum and free public transport. All for $58.50. That's a pretty good deal when you think about how much those individual tickets would cost.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And while we're talking about insider advice, what about experiencing the real local flavor of Rome? What did they suggest for that?
They said to head to the Campo dei Fiori market in the morning. Imagine, browsing those stalls that are just overflowing with fresh produce, local cheeses, colorful flowers. It's a feast for the senses.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Okay, I'm adding that to my list. All right, from the heart of Rome, let's head north to a country known for its stunning natural beauty and diverse landscapes, Canada.
Spring in Canada is a time when everything comes back to life after that long winter. In British Columbia, the bears are emerging from hibernation, which makes it the perfect time for a truly unique experience. They recommended a Zodiac bear watching tour.
I've heard those tours are incredible. What did they say about it?
They highlighted a tour that costs around $110 Canadian. It takes you through prime bear viewing areas. And it's not just bears. You might also see sea lions and eagles, all in their natural habitat.
Wow, that sounds unforgettable. But Canada in spring isn't just about wildlife, right? It's also festival season.
Absolutely. From March 28th to April 23rd, you've got the Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival. The city is transformed into a sea of pink and white blossoms. Imagine walking beneath a canopy of those cherry blossoms with that vibrant city as your backdrop.
That sounds incredibly romantic. And for those with a sweet tooth, there's another very Canadian celebration happening in early April.
Yes. Ontario Maple Weekend. It's the perfect time to indulge in some fresh maple syrup, learn about how it's made, and experience a taste of rural Canadian culture.
Okay, I'm already craving pancakes. Now, before we leave Canada, any practical tips for those planning a spring trip?
For anyone heading to the Canadian Rockies, they said to take advantage of the less crowded views from the Banff Gondola.
The Banff Gondola.
Yeah. Tickets start at $66 Canadian, and they suggested going early in the morning for the clearest views. And for those exploring the Pacific Coast, they also recommended looking into whale watching tours. Spring is when you start to see orcas, humpbacks, gray whales.
All right, from the wilds of Canada, let's hop across the Atlantic to another country that offers incredible value and charm in the spring, France.
Paris in springtime doesn't get much more iconic than that, does it?
It really doesn't.
Imagine strolling along the Champs-Élysées, the Eiffel Tower rising above you, and those chestnut trees in bloom. And you get to soak up all that romantic ambiance without the summer crowds.
And the best part is you can experience all of this without breaking the bank. The article really emphasized how affordable France is in the spring.
Yeah, they even had this clever tip for skipping the long lines at the Louvre. Instead of battling the crowds, head to the Musée d'Orsay.
Musée d'Orsay.
Right. It has this amazing collection of Impressionist art, all for just €16.
That's brilliant. And for those who need a moment of peace, amidst all that city buzz, did the article have any suggestions?
They recommended a picnic in the Parc des Buttes-Chaumont. It's kind of a hidden gem. It's got cascading waterfalls, a grotto, stunning views of the city.
All right. That's going on my list. Yeah. Now, for those arriving in Paris by train, the article also suggested a unique dining experience.
Oh, yeah. If you're passing through Gare de Lyon, stop for a meal at Le Train Bleu.
Le Train Bleu.
It's a historic restaurant. Like, stepping back in time, you'll dine amidst all this Belle Epoque splendor. Ornate ceilings, gilded chandeliers, impeccable service.
All right, next up, Scotland.
Scotland. It might not be the first place you think of for spring travel, but trust me, it offers some truly unique experiences that you just won't find anywhere else.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, May is whiskey month in Scotland. It's the perfect time to really delve into the country's whiskey heritage, explore distilleries, sample all those amazing single malts and blends.
I can see why they dedicate a whole month to whiskey. But what makes May so special for whiskey lovers?
Well, a lot of distilleries release special edition whiskeys during this time, and there are tons of events and festivals happening all across the country, from tastings to distillery tours to master classes.
Sounds like a whiskey paradise. So besides the whiskey, what else makes spring a good time to visit Scotland?
Well, spring brings milder weather, longer daylight hours. It's the ideal time to explore the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, and I've heard that those pesky midges, those tiny biting insects, aren't as bad in the spring.
That's right. The article specifically said that spring is a great time to hike the West Highland Way. It's a 96-mile trail that takes you through some of the most stunning scenery in the Highlands.
Okay, so that's Scotland covered. For our final spring destination, we're heading south to a country known for its vibrant culture, delicious food, and beautiful coastline. Portugal.
Lisbon in the spring? Oh, it's just a feast for the senses with all those bright colors and those intoxicating scents. Jacaranda trees, cherry blossoms, camellias, they paint the city in pinks, purples, whites.
It sounds like a floral wonderland. Did the article recommend any specific spots for enjoying all that floral beauty?
They recommended the Lisbon Botanical Gardens, like a peaceful oasis right in the heart of the city. You can wander through these different gardens, admire all kinds of exotic plants, and just soak up the tranquility. And it only costs €5 to enter.
That sounds like a bargain. And while we're on the topic of exploring Lisbon, are there any tips on how to avoid the crowds at those must-see spots?
The article pointed out that Lisbon is much quieter in the spring than it is during the summer, so you can really enjoy popular attractions like Geronimos Monastery and Belém Tower without being surrounded by huge crowds.
That's music to my ears. Now, Portugal is known for this unique blend of tradition and modernity. Are there any spring events that really capture that essence?
They mentioned that Lisbon's Easter celebrations from April 18th to the 20th offer a really interesting mix of the traditional and the modern.
So you could be watching a solemn religious procession one minute and then find yourself at a lively nightclub the next.
Exactly. It's that eclectic mix that makes Lisbon so special. And if you're looking for a beach getaway, they also suggested combining Lisbon with a trip to Faro in the Algarve region.
Ah, the Algarve. I've always wanted to go there. What makes it a good spring destination?
Well, in Faro, you can relax on Praia de Faro's sandy shores, explore the Ria Formosa Natural Park, and experience the Semana Santa festivities, which are particularly vibrant in the Algarve.
All right, before we wrap up our Portuguese adventure, any final tips for those planning a spring trip to Lisbon?
They had a couple of great suggestions. First, for amazing city views without the crowds, they recommended going to Miradura da Senhora do Monte.
And of course, no trip to Lisbon is complete without those iconic custard tarts from Pastéis de Belém.
You got it. And for nature enthusiasts, they suggested a boat tour through Ria Formosa Natural Park in Faro. You might spot flamingos, explore the lagoon islands, really experience the natural beauty of the Algarve.
Wow, what a journey this has been. From whale watching in Sri Lanka to whiskey tasting in Scotland, it's amazing what spring has to offer travelers.
It really is. And you know what's so cool is that each of these destinations has something special to offer during springtime. Whether it's vibrant festivals, blooming landscapes, or the chance to experience those iconic places without the usual crowds.
Yeah, it just goes to show that timing is everything when it comes to travel.
Absolutely. Shoulder season often means fewer crowds, better prices, and you might even get to experience unique events or natural wonders that you wouldn't see during the peak season.
So think about it. Of all the places we talked about today, which one really speaks to you?
Which ones sparked your curiosity? Which aspects of each country would you want to dive deeper into to plan your perfect spring trip?
So we've traveled from those bustling streets of Bangkok all the way to the peaceful cherry blossom groves of Japan, from the ancient temples of India to those rugged landscapes of the Scottish Highlands.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Exploring all these incredible places and, discovering what makes spring such a special time to visit each one.
We've talked about everything from whale watching and whiskey tasting to tulip festivals and centuries-old traditions. It's clear that spring offers a whole new way to experience these places.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you some ideas for your own spring travel plans.
Exactly. But remember, this is just the beginning. We've given you a taste of what each destination has to offer, but there's so much more out there waiting to be discovered.
Now it's your turn to take the lead. Think about it. Which destination really captured your imagination?
Maybe it was the whales in Sri Lanka, or those vibrant fields of tulips in the Netherlands that really drew you in.
Perhaps it was the spiritual energy of India, or that undeniable romantic charm of Italy.
Whatever it was, let that feeling guide you. Dive deeper into the local culture, the history, all those hidden gems that are just waiting to be found.
Imagine yourself wandering through those bustling markets, trying all the delicious food, and creating memories that will last a lifetime.
And remember, if you need any help narrowing down your choices, figuring out an itinerary, or even if you just want to talk travel, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to help you turn those travel dreams into reality.
So as those flowers start to bloom and the world wakes up from its winter sleep, we encourage you to embrace that spirit of adventure.
Let your curiosity be your guide and create your own unforgettable spring travel story.
Until next time, happy travels.